Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. It is my immense pleasure to be here for this particular session and this seminar. Let me thank you all, first of all, for being so kind to attend this seminar. This is a physical seminar and also the online as well. And first of all, I would like to thank you very much to my mentor, Professor David Gordon, for his mentoring for my PhD thesis and engaging me in UNICEF project that is related to the measurement of the multidimensional child poverty in Pakistan. And I'm also very thankful to him for hosting me for this next generation visiting fellowship at the University of Bristol. So Professor David Gordon, thank you very much, first of all. Then I would like to extend my thanks to the team, my colleagues working on Next Generation Fellowship for considering my application and providing me this opportunity to be here for this fellowship particularly. So my topic of presentation today is the construction of an asset index at household level and measurement of economic disparities in Punjab, Pakistan by using mixed microdata. Let me introduce you first. My name is Dr. Naveed, and you may call me Naveed. I'm serving as assistant professor at the Department of Economics, University of Gujarat. And University of Gujarat is in middle Pakistan, in Islamabad and Lahore. So it is established in 2004, and it has around at the moment 27,000 and more students in campus, and we do have 7 faculties and 30 different departments. They are offering the BS, MPhil and PhD programs, various programs. One of the is a very beautiful lush green campus, Hafiziyat campuses, and we have a fleet of more than 100 buses that commute the students from the surrounding villages and the districts to the main campus of the university. And this might be the reason that more than 70% of students at the moment in the university, they are the female students, and it is helping to bridge that gap to particularly reducing the gender disparities in Pakistan. So I will try to answer a few of the questions during my presentation regarding the disparities. For example, why research on disparities is important, and particularly with reference to Pakistan, how it is important and why we have selected the case study of Pakistan. Then why asset index we have used instead of the income or expenditure indices, and then what we suggested, this research suggests the valid and reliable steps to construct a valid and reliable asset index at household level. After that, I would like to be presenting some of the results on the asset index, that's a district level analysis, and some of the disparity related results within the Punjab of the Pakistan. We must start today's talk on a paradox of the 21st century, and that is a coexistence of deep and persistent inequalities and as well as increasing prosperity. That has been observed, and what you call it has raised a question to the present process of the global development and modernization. For the social scientist, the disparity is not a new topic. Social scientists, they have huge work we can identify. For example, Ross's dissertation on background of disparities, Marx's review of the capitalism, Weber's investigation of status, class and party, Plato's theory of elite, and Keynes' general theory of the employment. They are really very prominent researches on the topic. Some of the new research studies, for example, Thomas Piketty's 21st century, Capital in 21st Century, and Dayton's Great Escape has revived the discussion on the background and the determinants of the inequalities within and across countries. If we look at the efforts by the international community, will find the huge effort has been done to reduce the poverty, hunger, and the some of the work regarding the women empowerment by adopting the Millennium Development Goals in 2000. And what is although there is a huge work and the results has been observed, but what happened to the disparities within the country? It continued to increase. After that, international community once again is committed to adopt the sustainable development goals, and sustainable development goals revolve around the no one left behind. So that's again talking about the disparities, particularly when we talk about the goal 10 specifically devoted towards the reducing the disparities within the country and across the countries. So in concluding, we can find it out that if the country and the nation and the society want to reduce the poverty, violence and conflict, and want to ensure the inclusive development and endorsing the social prosperity and sustainability, the key for that is the eradicating and tackling the disparities. If we just look at the socioeconomic profile of the Pakistan, we will find the per capita income of the Pakistan is less than $1,600, and the poverty head count ratio, if we just take the example of the definition provided by the World Bank at the moment, 40% people, they are living below the poverty line. And on the pedestal of gender gap index, Pakistan is the second worst country in the world among the 146 countries. And if we just look at the Pakistan's female labor force participation rate, is even the worst in the South Asia. That's a 23rd. And human development achievements, not much satisfactory. Pakistan is ranked among the 192 countries, at 161 countries. So this all is going to have some of the motivation for us to go for the measurement of the income disparities in Pakistan. So this slide is again showing to you that what is more contributing, although there is a huge disparities and inequalities and poverty is existing within the Pakistan, but the flood 22 has contributed much more, and poor become more poor when we look at just the face and particularly the children, they are lacking behind. So there is a huge need to target those communities, particularly in Pakistan, who left behind, and there is going to be provide a huge opportunity to make it easy for them to find a way to out from the poverty. For that reason, we have the objective for this presentation and this research is to construct a valid and reliable asset index at a household level for Punjab, Pakistan by using mixed microdata, and further to investigate the inter-district income disparities for 36 districts of the Punjab. Now I will shift my discussion towards the asset index construction, and I will start why we have selected asset index instead of the current income or the expenditure data. So definitely a huge research has been done so far, and income index has been used as a measure of the living standard of the people and households and the country. But income data is mostly questioned for its measurement accuracy, and economists they believe that consumption is less volatile than income because household base their consumption on the permanent income. And if we look at the permanent income hypothesis as well, permanent income hypothesis suggests that a household consumption pattern can be depicted from the permanent income of the household, may not be from the current income. So when we're talking about the permanent income could be the good measure to evaluate the living standard of the household. So asset ownership may produce a good picture of the permanent income. Asset index can be defined as a measure of household permanent average income. So various researches that I'm highlighting at this slide, at the end of this slide, that's it mostly has been done by the Filmer in 2001, and many of the Hartigan and Clausen has also used the asset index for the various research studies to measure the household based income or living standards. On the other side, it is asset index that more easy to compute because of its availability of the variety of the question in a household surveys about the asset ownership. It is also a brilliant idea to go for the asset index, construct the long-term income of the household that is going to be present the living standard of the people. And then higher reliability of the data collection comparing to the data on income or expenditures. That's also going to be one of the motivation to go for the construction of the asset index at household level. And there are many research studies. One of the class in 2012 has computed household-based human development index and used asset index as a proxy variable in the place of the income index at a household level. So when we are constructing asset index, we have the major two challenges. One challenge is the selection of the particular item or the asset to include into the asset index, and other is to appropriate weight selection for each of the item that's going to be included into the construction of the asset index. So there could be the many way around, but reflective measurement model has many useful properties for this. It is going to provide us a sufficient evidence, a framework to assess the valid and reliable asset index, for example, by avoiding the amount of the systematic error and the amount of the random error. And basically what it is going to identify the optimum set of the indicators which going to help us to finalize which indicator to include into the construction of the asset index and which we have to exclude from the construction. So I'm just presenting and showing some of the research studies and famous research studies who have used this framework for the construction of the various research studies, and particularly on the deprivation, poverty, and the assets as well. Constructing asset index and finalizing it, some studies they simply do, they take all of the items of the household, they just merge them, take their average, and they find it out that this is asset index they have constructed. Some of the research studies, what they do, they have used a principal component analysis, and Filmer in 2001 has used, and after that the many of the research social scientists has used PCA as a method to provide appropriate weights to each of the item to the construction of the asset index. But in 2012, there are some colleagues in the social sciences, they highlighted that the PCA have some limitation while we constructing any of the the asset index. Particularly in PCA, first component explains the greatest proportion of the variance among the selected variables, but less of the cases, most of the cases, the first component explains less than 20% variance of the total. So this is one of the limitation of the PCA. Another limitation of the PCA is PCA assumes the continuous state of our analysis, while most of the cases we have asset index that is a binary in nature. For example, their answer is regarding the ownership, yes or no. So this is another limitation of the PCA. So any results, any weights assigned generated through the PCA, they are most of the time questionable or incorrect. And I have given the some of the studies who have this evidence. So what steps, what to do then? if we are going to have construction of an asset index, so then what we have to do. So we are going to have some of the methodological discussion that is going to give us an analysis to how to step by step move on for the construction of the asset index at household level. For example, we have used at the first step dimensional structure of the items for the asset index, and for that reason, to understand and identify the dimensional structure of the items that are helpful for the asset index, we have used exploratory factor analysis and then tetrachoric PCA. So we are not going to assign any weight at the moment. We're just going to understand some of the dimensional structure of the items. And at the stage 2, at the step 2, we are going to have some reliability analysis, and this is going to be used through the classical test theory, item response theory, and omega test. Sorry, I forget to mention here the third is omega test. So we apply this to find either the items individually or as a whole the index is reliable or not. That's going to be to avoid the random error or minimize the random error. Then step 3, that is we are going to apply the validity analysis, and this is going to, for this reason we have constructed household based income index, and per capita income index has been used as a validator for, and we plot the ANOVA mean effect for each of the item at the household level and then check it either within a certain assumptions. And then we have used this mean equalized household income with the asset index by applying the error bar model. So then we have confirmed that the items are valid. I'm just putting here some of the results, and these results are, we took for the dimensional structure of the items. And just looking at this table, and you will find the results of the exploratory factor analysis loadings, and this loading shows that there is 6 factors who have an eigenvalue greater than 1, and among these 6 factors, when we apply the alpha test, that's mean classical test theory, for each of the factor we find, and the alpha test suggests that the first 3 factors are reliable to be counted for the asset index construction, and rest of the 3 factors must not be included because of their least or less correlation with the because internal consistency is required to be a part of the some of the valid and reliable analysis. So last 3 factors, they have their validity, their reliability, their alpha value is less than 0.7, so they must not be included into the analysis. Coming to the next part of the table, that is loadings of the tetrachoric PCA, and it shows that the first 22 items, their correlation is greater than their correlation is greater than the what you call it their correlation is greater than 0.4, and any item whose correlation is greater than 0.4, it must be excluded from the construction of the item as asset index. It must be excluded. So we have to include only 22 items that we have shown up. So at the second step, we are going to use the validity and the reliability analysis. For the reliability analysis, we again used IRT model, and in IRT we have difficulty score and the discrimination score. I'm putting more emphasis on the discrimination score, and discrimination score shows the transformed correlation, and the cut value for the transformed correlation is 0.4, and the highlighted items the highlighted items mean the bold and shows that these are the items whose correlation to the this index is less than 0.4, so they must be excluded from the analysis. So what we can have as a sum, reliability analysis of the alpha test and the reliability analysis that we have generated from the IRT both shows that the same 8 items should not be included for the construction of the asset index, and the rest of the 22 items there that may produce the reliable results. So once again, we took those 22 assets together and we applied this item characteristics curve. And steeper the curve is, in a better shape, it is going to show us that this particular item or the asset has an ability to discriminate between the asset rich household and asset poor households. So this means as a whole, these 22 items can construct more reliable asset index. And we have applied also the omega test, and the omega test for this 22 item is 0.874. So this is highly reliable again for these 22 items. So as a whole, whatever the reliability analysis we put on, it is providing the very good evidence of the reliable results. So concluding, this table shows that all of the tests we applied for the reliability analysis, like Cronbach alpha, IRT, and tetrachoric PC as well. So all of them just explain us what item to include into your analysis. And interestingly, the same 22 items has been reported by all of the tests and these models that should be included, and rest of the 8 they have diagnosis must not be the part of this construction of the asset index. Then we can come to the validity analysis, and for validity analysis, as you told earlier, we have calculated household based income index, and here in each of these are the 22 different ANOVA mean effects, ANOVA mean plots that's going to show. On the vertical axis there is there is a household income, per capita income, and on the horizontal axis there is 0 for if the households declare they don't own the asset, and 1 if they declare that they own the assets. So what it shows, on average, the households who own the asset, they have the higher income as compared to the household they declare they don't own the income. So on average income is higher of the households who have ownership of the assets. So it is going to validate our assumption and providing us sufficient information that the selected item, they are valid as well, and there is a least or lesser systematic error is possible. Then we have once again use on the vertical axis the household income, and the horizontal axis the what we have constructed an asset index, and what we have the priori assumption, the rich households, household with those have the high income, they are expected to have the more of the assets, and household with the less income, they should have the less of the income. So this is going to be confirmed from this error bar model with a 95% confidence interval. So as a whole, we have constructed an asset index, and I'm going to present now the results of the asset index at household level that we have constructed, and we have a district level analysis, and we try to find out the particularly what the district score is, and this district score is going to help us to identify where those districts are who lag behind. And this is going to give us some of the more questions that we have to identify why those districts particularly are lagging behind. So we are just focusing on where these people are concentrated, who have the lower level of the living standard that we have measured by the permanent income. And we find the Lahore, Sialkot, and Gujarat, and these are the districts who perform much better and highest in the Punjab with a score 0.67, 0.63, 0.62, 0.61. And on the other side, these Rajanpur, Muzaffargarh, Dijihan, and Bakar, these are the districts who are at the least performance. So just I will be back on the same slide again, but just to have the another analysis of the rural-urban gap. And this is going to give you a holistic picture that within the high income districts even, there is a huge gap of the rural urban. That's mean the permanent income and the asset ownership of the rural communities is much lower as compared to the urban communities has. But what you can find also, this gap shrinks as the income go higher, and it is going to be widened when among the low income districts. And we can find out one district, particularly Dijihan, that is the urban community. They are much better off, and as compared to the urban, they are the worst off in the whole of the Punjab. So this is a huge gap is some of the districts like Rahim Yarhan and Dijihan and might be the Multan. So these are some of the districts. Later on we can talk about where these districts are situated and why this gap is so much high. This can be the next talk that we can have to for that. But coming to the disparities first, asset disparities. For this particular issue of the asset disparities, we have used the Palmer ratio and the Gini coefficient. And you must remember that the Palmer ratio and Gini coefficient measurement, they are the very unique measures, and they are highly acceptable all over the world, and many of the world organization they use for their analysis. And one another thing is that Palmer ratio is more sensitive towards the bottom and top, because take the top 10% and bottom 40%, with an assumption that middle 50% of the end country is a more stable, and there is a less variation has been seen. So it takes just top and bottom only. But on the other hand, when we look at the Gini coefficient is more sensitive toward the middle 50% distribution. So just having the results, and we'll find the Gini coefficient of the Rajanpur is a 0.34. So it's a huge disparity we can observe. That's a 0.34, and if we just come to the Lahore, this is a 0.13. So that's mean the Gini coefficient of the low income districts is also very high. So these are the districts like Rajanpur, Dijihan, Muzaffargarh, and Laya with the highest inequalities. And it will be very interesting to share with you. These are the 4 districts. They are from the one division, administrative division, and that is a Dijihan. These are the Dijihan's district. So that's mean these all poor are concentrated with a high inequality into just one division, administrative division. So administrative division mean one province is divided in the subpart into the divisions, and every division have a 3 or 4 districts. So this is administrative administrative division of the distribution of the of the Punjab, the Pakistan. So province Punjab is divided into the 9 divisions, and each division has 3 or 4 districts. So as a whole, there are 36 districts in the Punjab. So what is the situation? The division Dijihan, all of the districts, they are at the bottom, and they are highest in the inequality and the least in their permanent income and the living standard. And other way around, you can find out the some of the cases like Punjab in Punjab, like Lahore, Sialkot, Gujarat, Chakwal, and Gujranwala. So if you just look at top 3 districts excluding the Chakwal, these are again from the one division, and this division is Gujranwala division. So mean all of the income is concentrated on some surrounding districts, and the income is the income poor people population is concentrated in some other part of the districts. Just sharing one more results, that is we have a Gini coefficient on the horizontal axis, and the vertical we have the Palmer ratio, and it is clearly explaining this is a perfect fit at the 95% of the confidence interval. That's what does mean actually. It means if we use a more valid and reliable asset index, our measure is more valid and reliable. So either we use the Palmer ratio, or either we use the Gini coefficient, where the Gini coefficient is more sensitive to the middle 50% population, and Palmer ratio ignore the middle 50%, because our asset index construction is such a reliable. They both are going to produce for us the approximately 100% similar results. So that's mean whatever the result has been shown by the Gini coefficient, same has been presented by the Palmer ratio. One more step we have applied to just check it, and we have run the OLS regression, Gini by the top 10% and the bottom 40%. And what we find, all of the variation in Gini is explained by the Palmer components, and the positive sign of the top 10% shows if the income of the top 10% increases, the inequality will also increase, and negative sign of the bottom 40% shows if the income of the bottom 40% increase, the Gini will the inequality will decrease. So that's mean what the policy is actually. It should be very clear that the inequality is going to be reduced by helping those people who are below the poverty, and they are concentrated in the bottom 40% population are really in need of the much of the resources. So by concluding this all of the discussion, what we have done so far, an asset index is a better measure than the current income or expenditure for gauging a household long-term capacity for buying goods and services and its potential resilience to the economic shocks. And leading challenge for the construction of asset index is either the selection of the most appropriate items, that optimum subsets, and then going to have some appropriate weights as well. So when we are constructing the valid and reliable index, we have some of the assumptions that we are not going to assign any weights, but we have to focus more on the selection of the items, and that is going to produce a valid and reliable results. One conclusion that we can have also, the principal component analysis is going to be misleading when particularly when your data is binary in nature. So it is going to produce some questionable weights or results, or maybe the incorrect weights. And what we have find, the reliability analysis suggests that we can include 22 items for the final asset index construction, because these form a highly reliable scale, and inclusion of 8 items would increase the amount of random error of the index. So as a result, we can conclude out of 36 districts, the richest districts are either from the central Punjab or the North Punjab, while the districts from the South Punjab have the lowest level of average asset possession and a high level of the income inequality. So some more results I would like to share with you. Before that, I just want to introduce you a language, Seraiki. Seraiki is one of the representative languages of the Indus Valley civilization. The Seraikis are concentrated in South Punjab. the Saraiki-speaking districts in Punjab are facing higher economic disparities. This research recommends a serious effort to uplift most of their deprived districts of the southern Punjab by announcing a separate administrative setup, maybe like Saraiki province. So because small administrative units would foster the development and reduce the disparities between the Saraikis and Punjabi. Just want to have a click on, and this is a map of the Punjab only, and what you can find. The Rawalpindi, Gujranwala and Lahore. These are the divisions and the districts from these divisions. They have the highest asset possession and the least inequality they are observing. On the other side, the DG Han, all the districts of the DG Han and Bahawalpur and Multan as well, they are the Saraiki speaking divisions, and the most of the population living here, their mother language is Saraiki. So these all Saraiki people, they are deprived in the asset possession, and they are facing the highest inequality as well. So this is an obvious, and particularly this was our objective to within the country to identify where these poor are concentrated and why. Now the question is why inequality is taking place over there. What are the factors behind? Either this is might be some of the cases there is infrastructure, there is a political unrest, and there is opportunities, and there is many barriers might be. But there should be a serious investigation is required at the one end to find out the particular reasons for this. And one of the reasons is a flood as well. The many of the districts, most of the time, they affected from the flood as well. So there should be a target policy to help those poor and spend monies efficiently, effectively, to take those poor out from the poverty. And thank you very much for this whole of the discussion and your patience. So if you want to join again my second talk, I will be talking about the construction of the Human Development Index at household level and estimation of the human development disparities in Pakistan. This will be again in the International Seminar Room on Tuesday, 11th July at 1 p.m. So thank you very much. And if the university provide me an opportunity for the third talk, and I will be going to have a talk on particularly the factors of inequality, factors of the human development disparities in the Punjab. So this is all from my side. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And once again, I'm thankful to the Professor David Gordon and the team, our colleagues working on the Next Generation Fellowship Award, and all of the team of the School of Policy Studies and Space as well. Thank you very much.